Welcome back. Violence between Israel and Hamas intensifying overnight. Israel says it's targeting Hamas leaders as it defends itself from rocket attacks nonstop. President Biden reportedly encouraging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to wind down the attacks as if it's his fault amid an international push for a ceasefire. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell slamming those who are calling for this ceasefire. Listen to this.
Those who are calling for a ceasefire are basically suggesting that there is moral equivalency. I think we need to stand by our Israeli friends. Imagine what our reaction would be if somebody was lobbing these missiles into Washington. I think we'd be hitting back.
Joining me right now is California Congressman, member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees, Darrell Issa. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks for being here, Maria, and thanks for covering what many of us can't quite understand. If 3,600 rockets fell on your capital cities and your people, and they were spending half their time in fallout shelters, wouldn't you do more than just, if you will, lob one back? You would, in fact, try to go after the leadership. Unfortunately, Israel does not have the ability to go after Iran, which is where the real leadership and direction comes from. But they can go after Hamas leaders. They can go after the buildings that these rockets are being fired from.
Well, I mean, in this situation alone, knowing that Iran is supporting some of this alone, shouldn't this give the president pause in terms of continuing to talk about negotiations of the U.S. getting back into the Iran deal? And then you've got the Congress, the squad in Congress, talking about Israel as if it's Israel's fault that this is happening. They are, as you say, defending themselves from a non-stop parade of rockets coming at them.
Well, you're exactly right. Look, in every proxy war, the victims are the people who actually are doing the fighting. We could look at North and South Vietnam a generation ago and say they both suffered because forces were feeding both sides of this conflict, and quite frankly, we were only half of it, and we couldn't attack Russia or China. Now we are in a situation where under the Trump administration, we did deal with Iran in a way in which we somewhat neutralized them. The Abraham Accords and other progress really made some real changes. President Biden has decided to reverse that, and now the people of Israel, and in fairness, the Palestinians, many of whom just don't want rockets going out or into their hometown, they're paying the price. At the end of the day, the decisions are being made from Iran, through Syria, through Hezbollah in Lebanon, and through Hamas. And if we don't deal with Iran, there's no choice for Israel but to deal with the Hamas leaders that are in fact shelling their country.
It's as if it's not happening. It's as if we could look at a situation and think it's the complete opposite, according to the White House. I mean, earlier yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that President Donald Trump did not help bring peace to the Middle East at all. You just mentioned the Abraham Accords. I mean, for Jen Psaki to come out and say this with a straight face, she says, aside from putting forward a peace proposal that was dead on arrival, we don't think they did anything constructive to bring an end to the long-term conflict in the Middle East. She said that yesterday. There are 4 countries that have said that they will normalize relations with Israel already because of those peace negotiations under the Trump administration.
Countries are having to work without the United States in order to finish what was started under President Trump. Countries like Bahrain and Saudi Arabia are continuing to follow through. They've exchanged ambassadors. They've begun commerce, and they've begun a real dialogue with Israel about a common enemy, Iran. That's the one thing that Joe Biden can't undo, is that Arab leaders are working with Israeli leaders on the common foe and the common danger to the region, which is Iran.